questions. One, you mentioned the buses having a new place to let off passengers, et cetera.
The city buses in
City
Chicago,
bus,
yes,
yeah.
CTA bus.
As far as the last mile is concerned, we usually take a cab when we get to the station, and that's always a hassle.
A traditional cab, not an Uber or a Lyft?
Traditional cab.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not saying that I wouldn't take an Uber or a Lyft, but it seems to me a long time ago that the cabs used to access the station through a tunnel on the end of the deal. For whatever reason, that hasn't been done, and you walk out with your bags and you're accosted by 2 or 3 questionable folks, I'll get you a cab and all that.
When's the last time you rode?
It's been about, what?
A year and a half.
Year and a half.
All right, 2 things have happened in the last year and a half. The city of Chicago has reconfigured Canal Street in front of the station and put a mid-block crosswalk there with the cabs now stopping on the Colonnade side, that's the west side of Canal Street. We, at our expense, are paying for what would be a doorman or a concierge to help people get to their cabs and chase away the volunteer cab starters who were up there, who would take your bag physically from you because the cabbie's not getting out of the cab. No, don't want that to happen. You don't want a cabbie to actually come serve you. So some street scavenger would say, I'll take your bag for you, and not put it in the cab unless this other hand was full. So we've been chasing away those folks pretty effectively by having a cab starter out there, totally at our expense, and the city's reconfigured the street to make that better. So by reconfiguring the street, the cab stand works better.
The other part of the question is, talking about last mile, really talking about an intermediate mile. I was frustrated recently because we wanted to schedule a trip from Twin Cities to Dallas, and found out
Builder and the Eagle won't connect.
you can't get there from here unless you stay overnight twice. If you're doing
Each
round
way in
trip.
Chicago,
Yeah.
not known for less expense.
And okay, that's true. I guess I'm just wondering, has any work been done on looking at the schedules, including, certainly frequency of trains would be a big help, but looking at the schedules, we're talking about a second train between Milwaukee, if you will, and Twin Cities. It still wouldn't get you to solve that problem. And I'm just wondering, is there any thought about simulating the schedules to improve the ability to connect? And of course, frequency, I drool when I think of the frequency you've got in the northeast corridor.
All right, 3 answers. Number 1, if you're trying to connect from the Empire Builder to the Texas Eagle, you will spend less money by doing that overnight in Milwaukee or St. Louis or Springfield or Bloomington Normal than you will by doing it in Chicago. So that's a doable connection now if you want to do the overnight. And you can do that overnight at less expense in some of those downline places, including Bloomington Normal, where there's a brand new Marriott within a block of the station because our redone station in Bloomington Normal has helped spark a lot of downtown activity. Same thing in Springfield. As for the question of connecting the Empire Builder to the Texas Eagle, this is a project that we have been working on literally for years. Just in the past week, the person who's sort of the queen of scheduling and I were sitting in my office talking about the difficulties in making this work. Is it physically possible? Could we move the Empire Builder or at least move the Texas Eagle's departure? Yeah, she's been working on scenarios for this, she'll tell me, for 10 years or more. Is it easy? No. Is it possible? Yes. One of the problems we have is, let's say the Texas Eagle left at 5:15 p.m. or even 6:30 p.m. like it did once upon a time. You could then connect from the Empire Builder, but the state of Illinois is paying us to operate trains that depart at 5:15 and 7 p.m. And the financial projections for those trains are based on leaving at that time and having that many passengers on them. So we can't simply go to the state of Illinois and knock, 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 hey, would you mind if we took the 5:15 slot or the 7 p.m. slot? It doesn't work that way anymore. The states are paying us, the states have say on that. And that's ever since the 2008 law, or even before, or the 2006 service expansions downstate. There was a group of people called the Texas Eagle Marketing and Performance Organization, TEMPA. We meet with them roughly quarterly. Their number one issue is changing the Texas Eagle Empire Builder connection for it to work better in both directions. So yeah, we hear you. And the complexity in changing a train that has connections in 3 different cities is complex. And the fact that we and the freight railroads don't always agree on either A, schedules, or B, how enforced they are, and C, how well they're doing in operating our trains on the mutually agreed to schedules, makes that harder still. But yes, that's a possibility, and you could connect using a Hiawatha, or you could connect using a Lincoln service train and do the overnight elsewhere than Chicago. But yeah, we want to do that.
And we've had plenty of conversations with all 4 railroads between Chicago and St. Louis to do that. But there are issues at San Antonio and at St. Louis and in Chicago. Arun has a suggestion.
Oh, I have a question. So the improvements that you've done at Chicago Union Station are absolutely fantastic and just amazing. But one of the most important things, I think, and what I would hope would be a priority for the well-being, comfort, and safety of passengers is done at the concourse level. The north concourse gate is horrendous, and is the demolition of the Metropolitan Lounge scheduled in your FY17 capital program? And if it isn't, can you go down there with a sledgehammer and demolish it yourself?
I'd be happy to meet you there.
Unfortunately, in the last 10 years was eat up more of the North Boarding Lounge by a little expansion we did to the Metropolitan Lounge. That was an interim expansion. But it is our hope that we will get funding in FY17, which is not yet final, to knock down the old Metropolitan Lounge and expand that area for Hiawatha and Empire Builder people. It is too small. Now that we're using, however, the Great Hall for coach boarding of the Empire Builder, and every train that leaves after 9:30, we've taken some of the weight off of that for Empire Builder passengers. But in the end, we'd like to knock that out. We will have a Hiawatha leave Chicago with 200, 300, 400 people on it, especially the departures at just after 3 and just after 5. There's no room for those people down there. There's simply not enough room. And we're working to fix that. But the fact that we've spent $10 million a year on station things gives us momentum to get things done. And I hope we do. A couple more questions.
Yes, LD.
A very basic question. The women's restrooms in Chicago Union Station, often there's lines, women have to go to the bathroom, they're trying to get the next train, and they have small children who also have to go to the bathroom. Will there be more
The
stalls?
reconfiguring of the concourse level calls for more bathrooms. And we've put signs up at the bathrooms that are next to Metro. People didn't seem to know there were some upstairs in the food court to redirect some of that traffic up there. And there's usually not the lines in the food court restrooms that there are at the mid-level where the Metro ticket office is, or the concourse level. Part of gutting that out, part of gutting out the concourse is to add more bathrooms. Yes, sir.
Yes, I was wondering, I have 2 questions to ask you. Number one, I heard rumors that they were going to put the Lakeshore Limited through the Michigan and going down to Toledo and out to.
I've seen those rumors. No such decision has been made. Next question.
Okay, the next question is like for the Hiawatha service and whatever, are they going to be doing any infrastructure improvements like at Western Avenue? And because there's always it seems like there's always a lot of problems there.
We'll talk about some of the environmental assessment and some of the design stuff that's shown to the Hiawathas during the run. Yes, ma'am. Next to the last question.
I have a question about the Northeast Corridor. Is there any hope that the states will ever pay some of the costs?
They pay some of the costs now. If you look at the 2008 law, which set up a commission to assess what those states should be paying, there's a process for that, and I think you'll be seeing more state payments from those states. Because we operate it, we own it, we maintain it, but a lot of the volume isn't Amtrak, it's the local commuter agencies. Yes, sir.
I have a question about the future of the superliners. I'm from Minnesota, so that's a primary concern. My question is, when and hopefully soon, those are replaced. Would you do, I'm just assuming, after the baggage issue, would you go to the sleepers first because they generate a terrific amount of revenue, and then do coaches for superliners? How would that, do you have any idea of that process?
We've ordered, the single level fleet order is in, and it's an order for single level fleet. That is, the sleepers that we've been using and putting customers in, because we don't have enough sleepers in a single level fleet. We've been taking customer space on the single level fleet and putting crew members in there because the crew dorms we had were so ratty, and that might even be the right word for it, that we couldn't put crews in them anymore. There is no order placed now for bi-level replacements for the west, basically Chicago to the west coast. I see the work that our folks in Beech Grove do when you gut out a car and start from scratch. You can see some of our sleepers have had that done to it. I don't know that we need new cars as much as we need funding for more gut rehabs of these cars. And we've been doing some of that. Have we been funded well enough for it to get everything we want done? No. But there's a way there. I'm not sure it takes a new car order. New cars, as Arun can tell you from the state's order of these new bi-level cars, are a couple $1 million each. And if you can get another 20 or 30 years out of that car body by spending $1 million on it, half of what a new car is, that could be a better deal. And we've been doing some of that. That's the last question for me, I think. Arun and I will both take questions. And